Right, I'm joined today by Alan Burrows, who's Motherwell CEO. Alan, how have you been?
I've been good, Aaron, thanks. Well, I say good. It's been a difficult time for everybody, isn't it? Unusual times, unprecedented times, all the cliches that everybody's been almost using over the last couple of months. But, personally, myself and my family have been safe, which has been great. It's been a challenging time for everybody. But hopefully, as we sit here in the middle of, or towards the end of June, we'll start to see a wee bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, hopefully. And the last time we met was in November down in London at the Football Business Awards. You were there to pick up your SPFL CEO of the Year award. I mean, things have changed so much since that day. Can you maybe give us an idea of what's happened at the club since that moment, since you won? Obviously, this was for you won CEO of the Year for last year. Things were going well this year up until the point of the shutdown. So can you just give us a little idea of what's been happening?
Sure. Listen, after the steward's inquiry into that dinner, and thankfully my reward wasn't rescinded, I come back up to the club, and at that point, in the club were flying, in terms of off the field we had just sold. We were third on the field we were third on the table. Progressing well, winning matches, looking really strong, defying in many ways our budget and where we should be, in a sense that we were at that point and actually finished in this position, higher than many clubs who spend considerably much more than we do on the field. So in terms of our on the field performances, we were extremely happy with how things were going. We got to the January window. We lost one of our best players in James Scott to Hull City, but at the same time, for us, as much as it's a frustration, losing good players and good talent is a core fundamental part of our model, is the effective player trading. So, in order for us to maintain the club at the level that we have to perform well in that market, and we have to perform well on that side of the business. And James was one of our academy products that came through the system for almost entire his football career, and to then trade him on for what we hope will end up being a significant seven-figure sum, really is a testament to all the work of not only our youth academy but our player development and the player himself. So from that point of view, the club were flying high in the table. We had sold a player. Just around about that time as well, the club had also managed to clear off in its entirety our external debt to our former owners, which was a huge bonus when we took over fan ownership a couple of years ago. The first priority for the current board was to absolutely get back to an even keel, and anything that was historic debt to try and lose that debt, and through that effective player trading, less than just about 2.5 years or so, we've managed to clear it off. So around about that time, Aaron, around about the time of the turn of the year, and just higher up for COVID, it was really, from us, it was all systems go. And when we cleared that debt, one of the things that I had said publicly was that for the club now, this was just the start of the second phase, if you like, that this is only really the beginning for us, and it was now time for us to start future-proofing the business around potentially what is going to happen with the stadium, and what do we do with the training ground, and how do you really put some of those long-term assets into the kind of sharp front focus of the business. And that was good, and we were drawing up plans for that, and then all of a sudden this mysterious virus comes from China, and affects the whole entire world, and everything that we were planning, all the ambitions that we had were absolutely put on pause, and it went from having our head up and working towards kind of medium-term goals, which is very difficult at clubs at the size of Motherwell to plan in the medium term, because a lot of clubs, because it's very hard to lift your head beyond what happens the next week, the next month, the next 6 months. So we'd actually got to the stage where we were working towards kind of medium-term plans. And just as we were doing that, as I said, we were back to trying to survive tomorrow, and then trying to survive the next day with COVID. So yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind 6 months or so since that awards ceremony in London. We had obviously the highs personally winning the award, and the team doing well, to the absolute uncertainty and at times real fear and anxiety about what COVID might bring to not only my club and the business, but actually football as a sport in general. I think, certainly in the early days of COVID, there was a real concern from our point of view about not only their club but other clubs in the game across the globe. So it's been a roller coaster is the best way to describe it.
And up to the point of when football was cancelled, I think it was the 13th of March. Did you play that game? I don't know.
I remember the day really well. It was Friday the 13th, which always sticks in my mind for those who are superstitious. It was Friday the 13th of March. We were due to play Aberdeen, which was a live broadcast match. I can't remember if it was Sky or BT. I think it was maybe BT. A live match that was due to be played. And interestingly enough, from our point of view, we were third, Aberdeen were fourth. And there was a point in it. So it was a big match. It was a huge match. But I think that week, Aaron, if I remember correctly, and there's been so much happening, I'm having to pinch my mind back here, but I seem to recall leagues in Europe almost dropping one by one, almost by the day. I seem to remember it starting in Germany and then other ones. And I think the trigger point on Thursday, if I remember Sky Sports announcing that Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal manager, had contracted COVID-19. And that just seemed to almost pull the wool from under pull the carpet out from underneath the feet of the kind of English leagues. It was almost immediately after that, I think people realised, wow, this is close to home here, and this is not something that we're going to be able to somehow navigate through without being impacted. So the English and the Welsh leagues combined to pull the leagues, and that was on the Thursday. And I remember thinking at that point, there is absolutely no way, even optically, never forget the safety issues and all that sort of stuff just for a second, which were absolutely paramount. But even if you didn't take them into consideration, just the optics of a club like Motherwell and Aberdeen in the Scottish League playing whilst almost the rest of European football at that point had been suspended would have been terrible. So in my mind, I thought, listen, both from a safety point of view and from an optics point of view, I just didn't think the game was likely to go ahead. And sure enough, the next morning, Friday morning, we had an early note from the chief exec, Neil Doncaster, of the SPFL, telling us to convene an emergency board or SPFL board, and that was a part of it. And it came as no surprise to me, and it was absolutely, without any question, the right decision. So, yeah, but it was a pivotal moment for us in terms of the season in Scotland. That game, if it had been played, could have went anyway. Aberdeen could have won it, and then if the league had been shut down a couple of days later, then the whole thing might have looked slightly different for Motherwell in that sense. But I think it was definitely done at the right time for the right reasons. And looking back on it now, I don't think anybody would have changed their decision on that.
And at that point, when the leagues got cancelled and your league got cancelled, did you think there was going to be a way of coming back at some point? And how did you prepare during that moment? Did you think, yes, we've lost these games, we might be back in 2 or 3 weeks' time? What was going through your mind as a CEO?
That was exactly it. I think, as much as we had watched, and interestingly enough, there's one of the guys who works in our kind of media and communications department had been all, you got to laugh when I say this, had been all over this coronavirus story. We always laugh and joke about him, about how he's always in these kind of nuanced issues. So he had this big global map up on his screen every day. This was around about December, early January. And it was these kind of red dots appearing on the screen in China, getting bigger and bigger with the amount of cases. And generally, and I remember joking to the guys a couple of weeks ago, I said to some of the communication staff, I said, do you remember we were looking at that in early January thinking, and no really giving it any sort of notice about what that might become? Or I think at that point in my mind, and a lot of people's minds, it was a kind of isolated issue and it wasn't going to really spread the way it spread. And I really, at that point, hadn't, through January, even into February, hadn't really given it any sort of consideration about the impact it may have, both in the short and the medium, and as it looks like possibly even the long-term implications for football. But in the initial part, I still thought, maybe naively, that this is something that we could perhaps, this may take a couple of weeks to blow over, if you like, or slow right down quite quickly, and that we can maybe try and get back. And that was very much the kind of the mindset I was going in. It didn't take a very long period of time at all for the implications of this to become extremely apparent. When the number of cases started to multiply by the day and the death toll, unfortunately and tragically, started to accelerate at a rate of knots, I think it became very, very clear that this was something that as a business and an industry that we were going to be able, this wasn't just a speed bump in the road, this was going to be something that was, we had to start planning for the long term. and you can imagine at that point, as the CEO of the business, but also my fellow directors, at that point we had no certainty around when the league was going to finish. We had no certainty around the distribution cash that might come along with it. We had no certainty around when we can get season tickets on sale, and if we put them on sale, we'd then to buy them. We had no idea at that point whether European football, which if we were confirmed in third place, we would have been allowed to play, would even play. We had no idea whether or not that some of the outstanding transfer fee that were due from our January sale we were likely to get. We had no idea whether or not the next season could start at all. So you've got all these things going around in your mind. And bear in mind that the furlough scheme didn't come in for, I think it was a week or two after the lockdown. So you can imagine for those first 1 or 2 weeks, it's really intense around how are we going to meet our obligations? How are we going to? We've got a staff base here of 150 to 200 staff if you include players. How are we going to deal with this if all the income completely dries up? What are we going to do? So you get into this kind of emergency planning situation about how, and you look at all eventualities from this is not going to be particularly all that bad, this might be difficult, this is going to be really difficult to this is going to be absolutely catastrophic, and you go through that kind of scenario planning exercise, and that's what we try to do. But Aaron, it was extremely difficult in those stages because, as you know and everybody knows, there was a real kind of dearth of information. Everybody was kind of guessing. And that isn't really Andy's fault, because from government and people who are making decisions, they didn't really know what was happening either, because there was still a lot of this might happen and what happens if we do this and if the R rate goes like that, or there's so many uncertainties at that particular point. So it was, I dare say, it was almost impossible to do anything and lay any proper groundwork other than to try and say, okay, if this happens, we do that. If that happens, we do this, and try to be as mobile and flexible as we can to react to any individual situation. From my own personal point of view, I was also, as much as trying to juggle my own club, which was difficult enough as it is, because bear in mind, we don't have a benefactor at the club other than the supporters. We're a fan-owned club. So it's not like for other clubs who may have a rich backer or an owner who can help you ride it out by writing cheques and can you survive through it. From our point of view, with the money we spend is the money we generate, and we're a small club from a kind of working class, kind of ex-industrial town. That it's not a hugely affluent area with not a lot of people with huge amounts of disposable income who can just throw money at you to keep you going. So all that was going in the back of my mind, together with my duties and my role as an SPFL board member, which has the greater good of the entire Scottish football to look after, or certainly the 42 clubs that exist within the SPFL. And you can imagine the issues there are burning away every day. You're trying to balance that by doing work at home. You've got the staff then go on furlough, so you can only rely. You had a management team or a staff team of maybe 25, 30 people across the various departments. It's reduced down to 2 or 3. So all of a sudden, it's like it felt like death by 1,000 cuts at some points, because you were just, everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, there was issues, and issues were causing issues. So it was chaotic and quite hectic. But what I would say is, thankfully, we've got a very good board at Motherwell. Jim McMahon, Derek Weir, Andrew Wilson, Douglas Dickey and Tom Feely, the guys who represent us from the Welsh Society, have all been there a long time. They all understand the business. They're all very level-headed, sensible, good, smart, successful businessmen. And I think that level of calmness certainly helped everybody through the process. So we always knew we could try and work through it. We just knew it was going to be difficult. And actually it turned out, ironically, that the most difficult conversations and the most difficult time for me personally was actually the SPFL stuff, which became quite fractious, as I'm sure it demonstrated to everybody who was looking in.
Yeah, and just on the SPFL stuff, obviously, with the shutdown and the cancellation of the league, eventually they took the decision to null and void the season. Well, pretty much cancel the season. Celtic were handed the league. Did that? Obviously, there was a lot of issues around that. Do you think that was the right decision? Do you think they took the decision at the right moment, or do you think there should have been a chance that you could resume the league as the way the Championship and the Premier League are at the moment?
Yeah, listen, I what I would say to you is it wasn't a decision that was taken lightly by the directors, SPFL directors, and myself included. what I would say, Jan, is there's probably, it's one of these situations where there's never really a right answer and a wrong answer, because no matter what decision you take, you're always going to annoy certain people at certain times. The way I looked at it is Scotland's quite unique. There's a couple of environmental factors, right? Firstly, in terms of COVID-19, as we just said off call, the rate of COVID-19 across different nations is different. The infection rates are different, the testing rates are different, the capacity, hospitals, ICUs are different, and governmental approach to COVID and how you come out of it is different. So that's the first kind of environmental factor you need to get account. Even within the British Isles, the direction of travel is different, as we were talking about. You then have a situation in Scotland whereby you have contracts of players that expire primarily at the end of May rather than the end of June. Which is quite unique, which is different to England. So you have an issue there about contracts, and you've seen that live in play with, I think, two players that jump to my mind are Fraser at Bournemouth and Lyle Taylor at Charlton, both of whom have played in Scotland, by the way, who are facing those really difficult decisions between will I renew my contract, will I not, should I play for the club, what if I get injured, will I play if I'm not going to be kept on. So, all of those stuff is exacerbated in Scotland by the fact that the contracts all end a month earlier. So that was another part of the consideration. And the third one, to be quite frank, was, and I think there's a real interesting pattern across Europe if you look at this, that a lot of the countries who are colder leagues, if you like, all have television contracts that are renewing and restarting in the summer, a new deal effectively. And I think there was certainly there was certainly a move, there was certainly a consideration from us about how that all impacts and how that all plays together. Other things come into consideration as well. For example, like you've seen the player conditioning. I've seen, for example, Paul Cook and other managers in England talk about the situation where players have been off for so long they can't train to that, then they're playing 1-2 games a week in the threat of injuries. The transfer window, there's still no clarity about that. So, for example, my club, Motherwell, lost 13 players at the end of May out of contract. And if the transfer window doesn't open, how do you play them? And then on the flip side, if the transfer window does open, how do you maintain the integrity of the league? Where if a club who's, say, for example, at the bottom of the division can spend £2 million and buy the best players, and then all of a sudden that parachutes them above the club above, where you're balancing up the integrity levels there. So there was a whole bunch of problems that we took into account. It's probably the same if you look at League One in England, League Two in England, and the National League in England. They probably had sort of similar sorts of debates to themselves. And also from that point of view, there was a lack of clarity about testing and when it would come back. And we sit here, and as I said to you offline before we started, it's now the 23rd of June. And our players still aren't having in-contact training at the moment. So we've got a Sky contract that starts on the 1st of August. And as of about 5 weeks before that, our players, and this is not through the Scottish FA or the SPFL, but through the government, aren't even allowed to train at this particular point. So actually, if you dial all that all the way back to the start again, I can see why people made the accusation of it early. As we sit here approaching the end of June, despite the fact that England and the two top leagues in England are back playing, if you look at all the factors in Scotland, the main one being that we're not even back training yet, to try and fit 8 rounds of fixtures plus playoffs in what would be 4 weeks without impacting your Sky contract, and have the issue of contracts and the integrity that comes with the transfer window. I think personally it was the right decision to do it. I know it'll be easy for people to think, well, of course, he's Motherwell, they're sitting third on the table, this is a great position for them. And I get that, but there's nothing I can do about that, Aaron. I didn't, when I went on the SPFL board last July, I didn't sit there thinking, well, I'm going to join this in case there's a world pandemic and Motherwell have to be sitting third on the table so I can ensure my club finish third. That's just the circumstance that we're in at that particular time. And I went on the SPFL board to try and create a positive, or try to have a positive impact for Scottish football. But there was no easy answers. And it was a stressful time for my family. It was a stressful time for me because it was all played out publicly, which I'm sure you may be seen, which was unfortunate. And passions were raised and passions are high. Actually, passions are still high. But I think looking back, despite the fact that it's still rumbling on,
Yeah.
I think the right decision, in my opinion, was made.
And just on the fact that your players are still not back in training, how's that impacting their physical and mental well-being? Do you keep in touch with the management team and the playing side?
Yeah, I should clarify. We are back in some sort of organised training. We are in different phases to the government. We've just started. The UK government. In Scotland, we've just started phase 2 of the kind of exit from the COVID restrictions, lockdown, if you like. And the players, as of today, we can have organised training, but it's non-contact, and it's only in small groups. So it's effectively aerobic. And the reason why we chose, some clubs in Scotland haven't come back yet, the reason why we chose to bring them back in and start the testing process is, one, when the government do allow contact, we want to be ready for it, but also B is the point you just raised there, that we have a duty of care, and I was really conscious about this, about the players, and these are guys, bear in mind, who are every day, they're physically exerting themselves, huge amounts of testosterone, huge amounts of work they're getting done, and all of a sudden, through no fault of their own, they're almost like caged into the house. And that causes not only a physical deterioration, but I think if you're not careful, can cause mental deterioration as well. So from our point of view, we were extremely conscious about that. So the quicker we could get them back in a safe environment, and as I said, it's all very organised. We had a 78-page return to training document put together by a health and safety officer. So it's all very, very managed, if you like, and in a very sterile environment, biosecure environment at the training ground. But for the players, it's still quite not there yet. But it's 100 times better, I think, than the players sitting in a house or trying to run on the street themselves, because at least they've still got some element of that human-to-human contact, even if it is a couple of metres away, that they've got that banter that re-exists at training again. So that was a key part of their consideration, try and bring them back, even though we could have taken the decision. And some clubs have to remain the players on furlough and only bring them back when full contact or normal training kind of reconvenes. But certainly from our point of view, given the European games that we're hopefully going to come in August as well, that we can try and be ready as best we can for that.
Yeah. And just looking forward, do you think, is there any anticipation of when the league might start again, or is that still up in?
No, I think we've got listen, there's an ongoing legal case, obviously, as you may know, with Heart and Midlothian and Partick Thistle. At the moment, which is about to go into the High Court in Scotland, the Hearts and Partick Thistle have both said that they retain the rights to serve an interdict to stop the start of the season if that's what they desire. But if you take that issue to one side for the moment, and depending on when you publish this, you can keep in contact with me, actually, and we can. I can give you the most up-to-date information, but as of right now, they've reserved the rights to potentially do that. But in terms of the SPFL, in terms of the executive there, and all the clubs in Scotland are, and I think we're all preparing for a 1st of August restart. I think we're now absolutely accepting it's going to be behind closed doors. I think that's goes without saying. But we are absolutely confident and hopeful that we can get football restarted in the 1st of August and get the season underway, starting with the SPFL Premiership. So yeah, that's what we're working towards, which is just about 5 weeks' time now. So yeah, very, very, very much looking forward to that day, hopefully, when we can get football back properly.
And in terms of coming back and restarting, you've just touched on it there about it's going to be behind closed doors. How's that going to change? How's that going to change the operations of the club? How are you preparing for that situation? Are there things in place? Have you got a plan for that?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that, and I need to pay real credit to our broadcast partner Sky and the league for sorting this out, but one of the key elements that we've managed to do is agree with them that we can stream the matches live to our supporters, both in the UK and Ireland, but also internationally. And I think that was a real huge boost for us. A huge concession from Sky, to be fair to them, and I think they deserve credit for that. Scottish football and Sky have been linked for over 20 years, and I think I've said this publicly already, but I think in times of crisis you find out who your real partners are, and when a broadcast partner is able to step up to the plate and help clubs through this time, then that's key, and they've done that, so it's to their huge credit. What that's allowed us to do is continue selling season tickets on the basis that people will still get some sort of reward for being a season ticket holder. What we've decided to do as a club, incidentally, is say to supporters who buy season tickets that if you buy your season ticket, you'll get your guaranteed 19 home matches, and if those home matches need to then go into the following season, that's what we'll do. And we'll give you free access to the stream, and that's been very well received by our supporters. We thought it was the right thing to do. We thought it's the fair thing to do. They buy a season ticket to watch matches in the ground. The fact that they can't is not our fault or theirs, so that's what we decided to do. So that's some of the preparatory work we've done in that element, which has allowed, as you and I speak right now, our season tickets to be up considerably in numbers from last year, which may be surprising, both in terms of numbers and cash. So that's been great for us. And it gives the fans something to look forward to, that they can't do the game, they can still watch their team, hopefully not for too long, but certainly on a live stream every Saturday. In terms of what we're doing elsewhere, we have just actually launched things about, and you've seen this in England as well, fans being able to buy kind of plastic versions of themselves to go into the stand and all that sort of stuff. We've got some ideas what we're going to do on the scoreboards and all that kind of thing. So yeah, we've got some plans in place to try and make it as open and transparent for fans as we can. It's entertaining for fans as we can. We're conscious of the fact that we don't want to just switch a stream on at 5 minutes to 3 and then switch it off at 2 minutes past 4:45. So we're trying and build in our own minds how we try and up the production levels for that, to give fans a bit more of a kind of a rounded experience in terms of how that all looks and feels. In terms of the stadium itself, just trying to get as prepared as best we can. Fir Park is actually quite difficult, Aaron, because it's quite an old stadium. It's got parts of the stadium date back almost 60. I mean, the main stand at Motherwell was actually built on the back of Ian St John's sail to Liverpool. So you don't need to be my age to understand how long ago that was. So you can understand the main stand there is still in good nick, by the way, but it's an old stadium, and the 3 other stands were all built at different times, so they all have different facets to them. So if you look at stadium in England, it's all very easy because they're all kind of similar. You can space out the dugouts, you can space out all the different ambulance guys and media guys and all that. At Fir Park, we're going to have our own challenges about how we take a 60 or 70-year-old stadium that isn't built for social distancing, if you like, and then apply that to all the different facets of match day around media, broadcast, resilience, i.e. ambulance, stretcher bearers and all that sort of stuff. And then that's not even taking into account the plans we're already having to put in place, that if football can come back, or supporters can come back, but perhaps under a restricted kind of social distanced sort of setup, which has been, I know, started happening in other places abroad, about how we also plan for that as well. So there's been a whole bunch of work going on at the minute, a lot of it still a little bit blind, but yeah, it's going to be, I hate the phrase the new normal, but it'll be the new normal for a couple of months at Fir Park, but hopefully before we start to get back to some degree of normality. It's
definitely a new normal. And I've asked this to a lot of the people that I've spoken to, has this time given the shutdown, has it given you the time to kind of look up and reflect on where you've been as a club and where you're going to go as a club as well? It's kind of try new things, look at what was happening before, can we change things? Because we all know football moves so quickly, it's week to week to week to week. And
yeah.
It's time to reflect on the way you operate, I suppose.
It's difficult. I may be giving you a different answer to maybe some other people, in the sense I don't know what size of clubs you've spoke to. From our point of view, and maybe this will resonate with some of the people reading this, but the smaller clubs in particular, that when we furlough loads of staff, and you're down to, you effectively, what we've done is get in a kind of operations stroke management team to effectively keep the business ticking over. And it does go into kind of crisis management mode for a period of time, and that's all about, as I say, survive this week, survive this month, get through the pay run, do it again until things start to become clearer for you. What I would say from a point of view in Motherwell is, despite the fact that we are a small club, and despite the fact that we are fan run, in a sense, I don't mean that as a negative, but we are always trying our best, and as I said to you in one of the earlier answers, we're always trying our best to try and look a little bit just beyond the next year, trying to plan. Our whole model is based literally around, in terms of player trading, about youth development, bringing those players through, sustaining the business on that front. So we've always tried to go 3, 4, 5 years ahead. What it will allow us to do, and has allowed us to do, almost as side projects, is what I said to you earlier on about the stadium and the training ground. Those things are still very much in the embryonic developmental stage from us. So it has allowed us to perhaps refocus a little bit on those elements to it. Not necessarily for me, who's more involved in the kind of at this stage the kind of ops side rather than the kind of strategic side, but certainly for our supporters board, the Welsh Society board. I think from our point of view, it's very much a part of our focus to make sure that doesn't drop off the agenda. It's very easy when these things happen to, you start cutting that stuff adrift. So there's been certainly a concerted effort for us to try and do that, but also acknowledging the difficulty that not only clubs in Motherwell, but other clubs who are like maybe League One, League Two, National League in England, or Scottish Championship, Scottish Premiership, Championship, League One, League Two. It is really difficult when you're in that kind of trench at the times to go through that. But I think we managed it quite well because we have got the separation between the operational side of the club and the kind of strategic side of the club that's quite diverse in a sense between the exec board that we have at the club and the kind of supervisory stroke Welsh Society board, which is the fans group. So I think the work has continued on both sides, and that's been quite helpful for us.
Yeah, excellent. And in terms of your commercial operations, how's that been impacted, and is there hope that you will be able to grow in the future?
Absolutely. I mean, we done a deal at the start of last season. You've probably seen it. It was a very, very renowned campaign with Paddy Power, who done the kind of Save Our Shirts initiative, which was a record shirt deal. So we were in a really good place. We had record trackside sales. We had record shirt deal. So we were very content and happy with the direction of travel. We had a season ticket. We sold a record season tickets in the summer of 2018. We beat that record in summer of 2019. So all our kind of KPIs, or performance indicators, from a commercial point of view, were looking really good. We had managed to turn around as well a kind of downturn, and we have stadium hospitality and facilities. And over the last kind of 5 to 10 years in Scotland, bear in mind in Scotland, we were the first to introduce the kind of smoking ban in Scotland. We were the first to introduce a limit on alcohol, and what the impact of that environmentally in Scotland has been a much more difficult time for pubs, clubs, these types of areas. So from our point of view, it's been a difficult process for us to try and reverse that back around again, but we're actually managing to do it, and we're seeing some really good growth in that area of the business. Again, frustratingly for us, this has came at a bad time for us because it's putting us in a halt. But listen, it's just always given us renewed optimism and renewed fire in our belly to do it again. Okay, we're having to pause it and halt it, but that doesn't necessarily mean at the back end of it everything dies away. So from our point of view, in the short term, it's made it difficult. All the things we do in the stadium have had to stop, and that dries up lines of commercial income, but they'll come back. We were in very, very advanced stages with a new shirt deal just as COVID hit, and that stopped. Same with backer shirts and all that kind of stuff. But listen, these are all challenges that we will overcome. I'm absolutely confident the staff group commercially that I've got at the club. Suzanne Reid, who I recruited from Celtic, has been phenomenal for us in that side of the business. She has grown it beyond even my expectations when I brought her in terms of the size and the quality of partners that she's managed to bring to the club commercially. So I'm absolutely confident in her ability, and I'll support her in everything that we can do to not only to grow that. When it comes to season tickets, as I said to you, we're almost 1,000 season tickets ahead than we were at the same stage last year. About 600 more than we were at the same stage last season, which doesn't seem like a massive amount. But when you consider the club only has about 4,000 season ticket holders, to be 600 ahead in mid-June for us is extremely encouraging. It's almost about a fifth ahead of where we were. So from that point of view, we're an initial scenario planning had a significant reduction in season tickets when we were doing our financial plans. And we're already way ahead of that where we thought we would be in terms of that number. So again, that's a huge testament to the supporter base of the club that we have. I think it is also a testament to what I hope that the fans see in terms of the ethos of the club and the people running the club, that we've been rewarded to a certain extent by trying to do things right by the supporters more often than not. And I think you see that loyalty, and you see that you see that affinity with the club, I think, in times of crisis, and that's been demonstrated all across football, but in times like this, when you need your supporters to step up to the plate, when you need your supporters to help you out, when you do things right and you treat them right, I think they're far more likely to do that. For example, a quick example that we put on refunds for 1920 season ticket holders, and less than 2% of the people took up. And less than 2%. We were planning for somewhere between 7.5% and 10% of a return, and it was less than 2%. Phenomenal. And again, I go back to, this is an area where people don't have huge amounts of money. You know, the job, the unemployment rate is as high as anywhere in Scotland, and people care enough about the club, and probably at times recklessly, at times for their own self-well-being, but are prepared to help the club out and leave it in there. And it's so encouraging. We've not said anything about it publicly other than now to you, because sometimes you don't want to triumphalise the fact that people are leaving their refunds in the club, but it's just wee things like that just give you that inspiration and the motivation that when the days are hard and the days are tough and you're struggling to get through, make head nor tail of all the things that are going on, that you've actually got people really prepared to help the club out and work for the club because they really care about it. And as somebody like myself who cares about the club immensely, that's a huge motivational factor for me. So things like that help us push on. Commercially, I think we'll get there. We're having some really good discussions as things become clearer about the league restarting again. So yeah, I'm very, very, very confident in my team's ability to start regenerating the revenues again. And also, as the cardboard cutouts and all these things start to, they just daft examples. What I said to my guys at the start is, as difficult as this all is at the minute, and as quite callous as this might sound, let's just try and see what opportunities are there commercially. What will this allow us to do? It's different. For example, I've seen in England when the games restarted, all the seats covered with kind of large banners with advertising on them, and straight away I was straight onto the phone to Suzanne and my commercial saying, let's do that, let's make sure we do that. So it's just be things like that appear all the time, and try to use our kind of nous, if you like, to try and come up with other areas that we can try and fill in the business. The commercialisation of the kind of streaming will be another way we can try and get more commercial income into the business. So yeah, so try to be nimble, try to be confident, but also try to be a wee bit innovative in terms of what is out there and what we can try and do to generate more money into the business, particularly when our traditional lines of income, for example, around functions and day delegates and match the hospitality and income are all going to dry up for a period of time. It's really incumbent upon us to work hard at those different areas to see what we can try and generate.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I think from my conversations with other people at clubs, you're pretty much on the same lines. There's the fans are stepping up when they need them to step up. The clubs have been within the communities and they've helped within the communities. Commercially, you're looking at new opportunities and how you can create new revenue streams, etc. Living without fans, but also preparing for when fans can come back to the stadiums. It's all about this collective gathering, and you're doing that under obviously a situation where there's most of your staff have been furloughed, but there seems to be a collective. There's a collective there within the football community where things are going right and people are pulling together, and I think that echoes with what you've been saying.
I think one of the real things that are advantageous to us, Aaron, is that at a club like Motherwell, we're immersed in our community. One of the things when I took the job here at the club, 2014, the kind of general manager's job, was I really wanted to try and build on the work of my predecessor, Leanne Dempster, and trying to return the club to a real community asset. And by that I don't mean a club who see CSR as a nice part of the end of season report, but actually genuinely make meaningful difference in people's lives. We were thinking about what, just actually the other day, about what our clubs are trying to renew our club's mission statement, or what are the ethos of the club. And actually what we've kind of half settled on is always trying to make a positive impact on people's lives every day. And that may sound like a really unusual mission statement for a football club, because sometimes football clubs just get immersed in win the next game on Saturday, and that's what your job is. But actually what I see Motherwell Football Club as being is actually to be a bit of a pillar within the local area. I mean, as I mentioned earlier on, Motherwell unfortunately has been deindustrialised for the best part of the last 50 years. It was used to be steelworks, mining, all that sort of thing. That's all gone now, pretty much. and one of the few businesses that have left and got through that period and is still here is the club. And I think we can be a hope and an inspiration. And it does sound a bit cheesy, but I genuinely believe we've got a platform. And when you've got a platform, I think you've got a responsibility to help the local community and be a part of the local community. And not because you think you should do it, but because you want to do it. And I think in times like this is where you step up to the plate. It's times like this where you lead in the area. You're the people that can be in charge of trying to direct government messages around health, trying to direct messages around food, and we've been involved in delivering thousands of food parcels. We've been involved in numerous things through our community trust that are helping all areas of the club. We've been raising money for mental health charities. So we've been doing all sorts of things in the community here. That not because we feel we ought to do it, because we actually genuinely want to do it. And I think when you do that, as I said earlier on, when you do that, people respond to that. I think people locally here are proud of the club. I think they genuinely respond to that. And I think when you've got you working for them and them working for you, regardless of the size of the crisis, you'll get through it. You'll 100% get through it. And that's the comfort that I've taken through. We'll work hard for our community, and our community will work hard for us. And because of that, we'll be in a good position to not only survive COVID-19, but come out the other end of it a business that's strong, forward-thinking, has had a time, as you say, to plan for kind of more medium term, and hopefully be a stronger business at the back end of it, as hard as that may have seemed in the first couple of weeks and months of the crisis.
Excellent. And you wonder why you won SPFL CEO of the Year for 2019.
No, I'm from the west of Scotland, Aaron. So the minute anyone gives you any praise for anything, you've got to play it down for fear of being seen big-headed. So it's a part of my upbringing.
You definitely deserved it, and obviously thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I wish the football club well, and I hope we see a return in August, and Motherwell are at the top there.
Yeah.
You've got European place, so
that to look forward to. Knowing our luck, and not to be a Scottish pessimist, but knowing our luck, we're down. I don't know if you know this, but the European qualifiers are down to one leg. So I joked to the chairman, we're going to get a away tie in Kazakhstan, aren't we? It's an absolute certainty. We've got a £300,000 charter and got a free away to Kazakhstan. So thanks for being involved. That's really appreciated. No, joking aside, 6 years. For 6 years since we've been in European football, I've only been involved in one as the general manager stroke CEO. And it was a really disappointing defeat in Iceland, so I'm very, very, very keen to put that right, because it's been bugging me for 6 years, so hopefully get an opportunity in August.
Excellent. I think you will. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for taking the time, and Rose, I'll be able to come up soon and watch a game.
Please do, mate. It's been an honour and a privilege, and thanks very much, only for the award in December, in November, but I can't begin to tell you how much that meant to me, but just to have me here and interview, it's brilliant. Thank you so much. And I'll keep safe, keep well, and I'll speak to you soon, alright?
You too.
So, man, all the best.